My boss went into retirement and replaced himself with his evil son. His son tried making moves on me, tried to go out with me, tried to sleep with me, and then later when I wouldn't, tried to fire me. This is the story of how I got my revenge, got a huge payday, and destroyed this business. Here's what happened. Subscribe to Am I the Jerk on YouTube and hit the bell to turn on notifications. First, some background. A bit over 6 months prior to the start of the store, we had a change up at the company that I worked for. The old owner was a great guy and was retiring, so he was handing off the company to his son, a real jerk, just out of business school type. The son, with the mentality that this company was now his, went about restructuring, namely reassigning teams to different projects and leaving those that remain in their old positions to pick up double, if not triple, the workload. He did all of this in the name of saving a little bit of money. Unfortunately, my department, safety and engineering, of which I was a team lead, was not spared from this effort. In the end, I had it out with the boss and the department head, ultimately costing the company 3 months of my entire department working 80+ hour weeks and forcing a huge year-end bonus to be paid out to us. Unfortunately, after my initial meeting with the new boss, i.e. the son, he took a liking to me in a really bad way. Essentially, he really liked me and wanted to go out with me or sleep with me, however you want to put it. He even enlisted his friends and secretaries to help him. It went on for months. It was just blatant harassment. They even made comments about me losing my late husband, that I should get back on the horse, so to speak. I kept everything, every email, every voicemail, and I went to my best friend who happens to be a really good lawyer, a contract lawyer to be exact. So not exactly their area of expertise, but they knew enough to help. This friend drafted a letter to the boss, essentially a stop, we're going to start a big case over this kind of thing, and yeah, everything stopped. However, I was then moved from working in office to a work from home arrangement. I knew that was coming. They were going to do their best to get rid of me, so I started documenting everything. But as luck would happen, I received an email chain from the bosses. A good friend of mine in the office who was in the email chain added me to the CC list, and wouldn't you know it, it was a back and forth communication of them discussing how they would get rid of me and pin the blame on me. The email chain was disgusting. Just disgusting. They hated me so badly and wanted me gone, but because of my contract, they would have to buy me out. But being the cheapskates that they are, you know they wanted me gone for free. So the company bosses started a campaign to try and torment me. They first tried to say that because now I work from home, they were required to install cameras in my home office to make sure that I was being productive. Luckily, that did not work. Gotta love contracts. They also tried assigning an impossible workload to me, but luckily my team and I were almost like family and they pick up the slack. After 3 months of this, I get an email and a phone call from the HR department saying that I was getting laid off indefinitely because there was just no work for me. This was complete nonsense, given that we had several dozen projects we were working on. As a side note, in Ontario, there is no such thing as a layoff. In the court's eyes, being laid off is considered an active dismissal, which is essentially the same as being fired. After this conversation with HR, I call my lawyer friend almost in tears, just shouting, "Look at what they're doing to me. Help." She calms me down and tells me, "This is such a good thing. We have so much evidence against them." I had already forwarded and printed off everything that was sent to me, and it was lucky I did because a scant few hours after I was laid off, my computer was remotely wiped clean. Everything was gone, just leaving a blank desktop. When I called the HR department to get copies of all my filed complaints, what do you know? Everything was gone. In their place was a bunch of nonsense reprimands that never happened, that I never signed or saw, dating months and months back, and all signed by the new boss, despite the fact that they were dated before he ever took control of the company. It was clear they were total nonsense, but I got copies of everything to add to my stack of records. I texted all my old colleagues to let them know what was happening and that I am basically gone. Like I said earlier, we were like family, and with me on the way out, they started looking for better employment. Not only that, but they contacted all their friends who worked for the company to do the same. I was laid off on a Monday, and on Thursday, I walked into the office with my employment lawyer. I swear the main secretary was on the phone to security the second she saw me walk in, and they were at the door in a matter of minutes. My lawyer simply handed her a legal document, a summons to meet for a mediation at his office on the next Friday. During the following week, I received so many calls and text messages from the bosses, friends, secretaries, and people I knew in the office to just be friendly with the owner, to just drop it, and that they wanted to bring me back and forget about everything, like hell I was going back to such a hostile work environment. Friday finally comes, and into my lawyer's office, my former boss walks in with a squad of 4 lawyers to settle the matter. Right off the bat, he offers me 3 months severance to end all of this because I didn't have any evidence to rebut the fake paperwork they had on file. At this point, my lawyer starts to bring out all the paperwork we had, namely copies of every complaint I had ever filed, which were all signed by the bosses, HR, and myself. Luckily for our case, I had made sure to take a copy of each complaint when it was written up. They didn't think I had anything. everything. Oh boy, were they wrong. My lawyer made the case in court that it would be obvious that all the paperwork they had on their end were forgeries. Nothing was signed by me. And he pointed out that there were dates with the boss's signature where he wasn't even in the country, let alone working for the company yet. At that point, the boss and his lawyers went to speak privately. After about half an hour, they came back with a much better offer, a full year's salary. But my lawyer responded with, no, we'll just go with what the contract says, plus go for damages in court. Given the recent changeover of the company, the lawyers seemed to know that they couldn't afford this going to court, not to mention that it would be so bad for the company's reputation. So they basically rolled over and asked, what do you want? We demanded 5 years salary plus the average bonus I would have made for each year, plus all the legal fees paid. It was a big win, but it didn't end there. I got a taste of blood and I wanted more. I made phone calls to several companies where I had contacts and found jobs for every member of my team and several members of other teams. By the end of the week, the company lost 10 of its most talented people. Not to mention, most of those people had friends and colleagues that ended up following them to the new employers. The fallout was pretty bad. Before all of this, they had their pick of the litter when new university students graduated. But now, because they had lost almost all their senior people, they had no one to mentor new employees. Plus, word got out fast how they treat workers like crap. So no one with any talent would even think of getting near the company. As of today, the company is just a shill of its former self. It's still big, but it bleeds money. They also now have a problem with permanent staffing and are paying out the nose to hire subcontractors. Let's just say they don't make money like they used to. In fact, they have not started any new projects in something like 9 months. If something isn't done on the side of the management to improve things fast, they will likely be going bankrupt in the very near future. So, am I the jerk for essentially destroying this company and getting 5 years of salary as a payout to me because the new owner kept making his advances on me? So from the sounds of it, this son obviously had no idea how to run a business. He probably watched this business being run from the sidelines his entire life, but never actually learned how to run the business. As if his dad was just a dumb guy that didn't see all these obvious methods to increase the bottom line, but all those methods, at least from this example, ended up hurting the company in the long run. It's a very short-sighted way of thinking, and he probably thought he was really smart for doing it, but then in the end, he ended up losing more money because he forced that entire department to work 80+ hour weeks, which meant that a huge year-end bonus had to be paid out to them. So in the end, was it worth doing that? Probably not, and it was probably a reason why it was done the way that it was before. When it comes to the whole attack on the LP here, that's not even the guy trying to be business savvy. That's just some weird mental power trip type of thing, because he probably thinks I'm the boss now, so therefore you'll date me because I like you. It kind of makes me think of the guard in prison experiment where everyone just ends up assuming their roles, and this is the role that he became, and immediately started taking advantage of the power that he had. But luckily the OP understood that immediately and started defending herself, putting up these barriers and collecting all the evidence she needed in the event that things would go south like they eventually ended up going. And she really did go for it, getting the 5 years of salary, and that's after the lawyer's fee is already taken care of, wasn't even enough for the revenge. She went even further than that. I think most people probably couldn't even fathom a reality where you got paid a salary for 5 years and you didn't have to go to work. I think for almost everyone that would be life-changing. You could do so many things you always wanted to do during that time. But if you ended up getting that yourself, let me know how you would spend your 5 years. And also, do you think the OP was justified, jerk, or not a jerk, and why? Don't forget to subscribe to the second channel linked down below where you can hear all of my personal stories if you're interested in that. I do reviews on YouTube. I received a cease and desist after the publisher reached out for ways to improve. Hello, now I am not some big reviewer. I barely have 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, and I do it more as a hobby and not anywhere near a job. Recently, I posted a review about a newly released game. It was very critical on a lot of points in the game, but nowhere was I saying anything that was a lie. For some crazy reason, this video received a massive influx of views compared to my normal 8 to 13,000 views. This one received over 1.6 million views. The publisher reached out to me and wanted some of my personal opinions on how to improve the game and what they could do to make it more enjoyable. I was ecstatic and extremely happy that the company wanted my opinion of all people on what to improve or to change. I was assuming they reached out to a lot of people to get a pool of ideas and maybe hopefully implement them and improve the game. Towards the end of our emails, they asked for my name and address to mail out some swag for my time and effort in the emails. I sent probably several pages of ideas and issues, etc. So I thought, cool, a poster or something would be nice. Today I received a certified letter that contains a cease and desist about the game claiming if I continue to spread false information and affect sales, I will be sued. It also demanded that I remove the review immediately. I've privated the video but have yet to actually delete it. What can I do here? Are my opinions on a game not protected or can I actually be sued for this? A small edit from the future. here. I will not be making the video public again until I have more solid information. I will also not be making a follow-up video, as I do not want to poke a bear. I cannot afford an attorney to fight even a frivolous lawsuit. My state of Colorado does not have anti-SLAAP laws. I've emailed EFF and a few other attorneys who specialize in the industry and hope to hear back. I'm also not going to link my YouTube channel. I'm not here for subs or views, just for advice. Jumping into the future, there is an update. So it's been an interesting 2 months after my post. I started contacting a few attorneys locally and eventually had to call the state bar for a referral because of the type of possible laws not a lot of people handle, since most lawyers out here do family or criminal law. I finally found an attorney that understood what I was talking about and wanted a link to the post and agreed with the majority of the top advice that I received. He accepted a small retainer of $250 to respond to the cease and desist that I received and a few possible future letters/calls. He responded asking them exactly what statements I made that were false and requested exact times in the videos that the statements were made. Since I previously privated the video, we had to give them a different link. He also outlined what will happen should they continue stating that during discovery. He will be requesting all communication between QA, playtesting, developers, and management to see if they were aware of any of these bugs/issues that may compromise a customer's experience while playing. It also included a paragraph basically calling them out for reaching out to me and lying about swag and wanting feedback to get my information to send me a cease and desist instead of going to the proper legal channels to obtain this, and the fact that I still have yet to receive any swag shows that this is clearly the case. Also included that they need to preserve all the emails they sent to other reviewers because it's of interest in the possible upcoming legal action. He also requested that they preserve all sorts of other communication between QA, developers, etc. So after he had confirmed receipt of the letter, we waited and waited. Nothing for about a month, but then I received 3 large boxes containing games, posters, statues, a custom PS4 limited edition console, bobbleheads, Funko Pops, and just every piece of swag I think they have for their 3 or 4 games, and a letter saying, "Sorry it took so long for us to get this swag out to you." My attorney then sent out another letter asking about the status and their position on the cease and desist, and we received a letter back with only a few sentences basically saying that they made a mistake and we can expect no further correspondence on the matter and that the video can be reinstated if we so wish. He then sent out another letter asking about the lost ad revenue due to me having to private the video since they admitted that it was a mistake. They sent out a check for $500 and some papers that I needed to sign basically saying that the issue was over and I won't sue them. Thank you to everyone for all your advice. I didn't get sued, and after it all, I came out ahead. I'm still not going to link my channel or the video or name the company in question, but thanks for all your help. So, who was the jerk and how would you have handled this? It's sad that this company probably never would have dropped this whole situation or suddenly remembered to send all this swag if the guy didn't get the lawyer involved. Stories like these are what make people always so trigger happy to lawyer up the first chance they get, because if it happened to this OP, then it's probably happened to other reviewers out there, and this company was just getting away with it. If you really give them the benefit of the doubt, it could have been somebody within the company that went rogue and just kind of set this off without getting an approval from anyone else in the company. Sometimes it's hard to know if what you're receiving from a company actually represents the whole company things or it's just that person. As soon as they got this letter from the lawyer, they probably realized they were immediately in the wrong, and then not only did they ultimately say you could put the video back up, they paid for the money lost in the process, gave him all the swag he could want and this limited edition PlayStation, and just wanted to be done with it. So let me know how you would have handled the situation if you were the YouTube reviewer yourself, and jerk or not a jerk, and why. My dad's girlfriend is trying to get rid of me. I'm a 15-year-old girl, and my dad, who's 43, has a girlfriend that is trying to get rid of me. My mom passed away 5 years ago, and I think of her every day. My dad went through a really bad depression, and I had to take care of myself, basically. During the Christmas holidays, my dad told me that he had been seeing someone for a while. I noticed he was happier, and I guess I was happy for him. I didn't want him to be lonely forever, but I did feel like my mom was being erased completely. He never wanted to talk about her, and he got rid of all pictures with her in them. He said that his girlfriend will be spending Christmas with us and then moving in. I wasn't happy at all. I don't even know her, but I didn't say anything. I met her on Christmas, and usually my dad and I put the star on the tree that day. We would put the star on the tree and watch The Grinch. It's our tradition, and we kept it even when we were grieving my mom. It's the only tradition from when she was with us that we actually kept. When his girlfriend came over, he put this star on with her while I was in the bathroom. Also, we didn't watch The Grinch because she hates it. I know I sound spoiled and childish, but I was so angry. We've been doing this my whole life, and she just came in and destroyed it. The whole night, she didn't even bother to get to know me at all. She was all over my dad and pretty much ignored me. I told my dad about how upset I was about our tradition, and he said I should grow up and that things changed. I didn't like her because she gave me bad feelings, so I never got close to her. She complained to my dad about it, and he got mad at me for not making her feel welcomed. I felt bad because she makes my dad really happy, so I tried being more friendly with her. In front of my dad, she was nice to me, but when we were alone, she ignored me or spoke to me with attitude. She even told me that I was a brat and I make my dad's life harder. I told him, but he didn't believe me and yelled at me for trying to sabotage his relationship. He said that I wanted him to die alone and be sad that I was selfish. I was so shocked because none of it is true. My dad basically treated me like I wasn't there at all after that. I felt like I did when my mom died, all alone. I stayed up really late one night because I just couldn't sleep and I wanted to sneak in a midnight snack. The girlfriend was in the kitchen on a FaceTime, so I decided to be nosy and listen. She was talking about my dad and how much she loves him. Then she said that he had this, quote, dumb daughter, and she wondered if it was too late for adoption. Her and her friend laughed at that. She said that I was a little bee and she hated me. Her friend then said something about boarding school or military school, but I left, so I didn't hear the rest. I was so exhausted from all the crying I did, so I actually slept. I didn't tell my dad, and I don't even know if I should, as he probably won't believe me. I really miss my mom. I kinda just want to go live with my grandparents, my mom's parents, but I don't want my dad to think that I'm leaving him. What do I do? Can I even do anything? How do I get my dad to listen to me? Would I be wrong for leaving? Jumping into the future, there is an update. Since my last post, I spoke to my grandparents and told them everything. I asked if I could stay with them, if I wanted to, and they agreed. I then spoke to my dad again and tried to tell him how I felt and what I had heard. I didn't want to film or record because I knew that he would be mad at that and wouldn't listen. He didn't believe me again and thought that I was jealous of having to share him with someone else. I got upset and I told him that I was leaving so he could live happily ever after without the burden of having me around. He looked shocked but didn't say anything. I had already packed my bags and had brought some things to my grandparents' house. My dad didn't speak to me for the rest of the day. My grandfather picked me up and I've been there since. I haven't gone home and I haven't heard from my dad. My grandparents told me that they would handle my dad and that I shouldn't have to be the one doing it. I'm upset that my dad hasn't called or texted me once to see if I'm okay. At the same time, I'm feeling so much better being with my grandparents. My grandmother is probably the sweetest person ever, and my grandfather was a little rough around the edges, but he's really a softie. Jumping into the future again, there's a final update. My dad came to visit me in my grandparents' place to talk to me. He brought his girlfriend with him. He said, "My girlfriend and I have been talking. We decided that it's best if you stay here." My dad said that I can come clean out my room completely and he'll help. He also said that after I get my things, we should also take a break from each other and reevaluate things in a few months or however long this takes. His girlfriend then said something about how she'll take care of my dad for me. In a few days, I'll be going over with my grandparents to get my stuff. We'll also be getting the important papers that some of you have mentioned. It doesn't look like I'll be going home anytime soon. I have a new home now, I guess. To be honest, I have been feeling pretty bad about some of the comments, specifically the ones saying that since I probably remind him of my mom, that's why he's like that with me. He got rid of everything of my mom's, and I was the last piece of my mom, so it makes sense that he doesn't want me anymore. I really wish that he was still here. I think he wants to start over, and that I wasn't a part of that plan, so I guess that's it. Am I the jerk? I honestly did not expect that outcome. I thought somehow the dad would come to his senses and realize that he was neglecting the OP, his daughter, and try to have a human connection with her, but instead he just says, "Okay, you stay here now, back up your stuff, let's not talk about anything, let's not address what my girlfriend said on the phone about getting rid of you, you could just be gone now." Most of the time when people say statements like, "He doesn't want me anymore," it's usually some sort of exaggeration or they're being dramatic about it, but honestly, that is kind of the sentiment that the dad is conveying by his actions. He would probably never describe it like that or even see like that himself, but what else would you call this? Dealing with grief is a very complex thing, and a lot of times there is collateral damage to the people that you love the most, and the dad might not realize that he made the OP the collateral damage in this case in this exact moment, but in the future he'll probably look back and realize that and maybe be regretful. And from the OP's perspective, she may look back in the past and be resentful. In both scenarios, if this isn't sorted out, it's something both of them are going to look back on and not remember fondly. But realistically, the only one that can change this, the only one that has the power to do so, is the dad, despite being burdened with what sounds like immense grief. So if you were the OP in this situation, how do you think you would handle all this? Let me know down below, and jerk or not a jerk, and why. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. To finish listening to all the stories in this series, use the playlist at the top of the description. And next time you live stream, use the cream of the crop music. Search for Cream of the Stream on Spotify or whatever music platform you use for copyright-free music to use for your stream. It's free, Cream of the Stream. Either way, thanks a lot for listening. I'll see you guys next time.